What is the biggest lie the real estate industry still tells buyers?
The seller pays the commission, meaning the buyer commission. They're still telling that lie.
We're going to rapid fire, no prep, no scripts, no polished PR answers. We're going around the table. First instance only, keep it under 30 seconds, no fence sitting. And you don't know what they are. What is the biggest lie the real estate industry still tells buyers?
The seller pays the commission, meaning the buyer commission. They're still telling that lie. It's like, it's so obvious if you know simple mathematics that if you buy a house and the seller is paying for something that you're responsible for, it's just added to the price. So you're paying this out, 80, 90% of it over 30 years with interest. So know that going in, and the seller just happens to pay for it, but you're responsible for it. And the agent is making it like, oh, no, it's normal and all that, but you got to know it's built into the price. And they're charging you 2.5%. And
as we know, friends don't let friends pay 2.5%.
Exactly.
Well, let's switch to the power dynamics in real estate. Who has the most power in the real estate industry today? Agents, brokers, lenders, portals, or the consumer?
Well, I'm going to change it to the listing agents because some of them think they are God, and for you to get in the property, you have to do this and that. That brings me on to something I was going to talk about, so I'll just hit it quickly. There was an agent who has a listing that is in this off-market network that I'm in, that I got, and also has it as a coming soon in the multiple listing service. But the people haven't moved out, and so it looks kind of icky per se, as opposed to being all painted and prettied up and furniture done and all that. So he's showing it, but the funny thing is, when I got to the house, it didn't have a coming soon sign on it. It had a for sale sign. So this is pretty sneaky of him to do that. And then he wanted the name of my buyer, and there was a couple, and I only gave him one, and that was on purpose, because he wants to register that person that if he doesn't sell the house during the listing period, and that person comes back within 180 days and buys the house, he's entitled to a commission. So he's all worried about his commission. And this is a big company, and you probably know the name, and they're very hotsy-totsy. So that's what they're trying to do, but it gets worse. He sends me an email, and he says, I need the name of the husband. We're not going to send it to him. It's his problem. And he says, and I need your feedback. And I said, we don't send feedback. He gets all indignant about it. He says to me that, oh, had I known that, I would have told you to pound sand. Because I won't give him feedback. So let's talk about feedback.
What kind of feedback?
Well, if you're a buyer broker, you bring your buyers to a listing, and what this guy is expecting us to do is tell him what's wrong with his listing and why my people didn't like it, so that he can improve his listing and help his seller. Here's what I have to say. If I, as a listing agent, don't know what's wrong with your property in order to sell it, you pick the wrong listing agent. It's that simple. I have listings, and I know there's issues, and I've talked to the sellers about it, and, one way or another, something's going to get done or not done or whatever. But I know all the problems in the house. I know why it doesn't appeal to certain people. But these listing agents keep asking for it because they think they're telling the seller, oh, this is great. We're getting great information, and we're going to improve, and we're going to get all this stuff. And I'd love to go against this person for a listing and sit there at the same time and talk to the seller. It's like, I don't get buyer feedback because I don't need it. I know what's wrong. Here's what's wrong. Blah, blah, blah. It's unbelievable that these guys do this. And also, there was a lawsuit by a listing agent against a buyer broker because they gave them this bad thing about the property it was a whole mess. I forget all of the details, but it's like, there's other agents who've written articles about it. They don't give buyer feedback. It's ridiculous. And it's, to be held against you later. So the whole thing is a mess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly.
And I've been lost from the first part. So he's a listing agent and you were,
Right.
the buyer was seeing the property.
With him, by the way.
Oh, with him.
Oh, yeah, he was
Now
there
he wants
too.
the referral fee of every single person
No,
in
no.
the house.
No, not referral fee. If my buyers bought the property while he's the listing agent, he gets a commission.
Uh-huh.
But if my buyers buy that property after his listing contract ends, in his current listing contract, and by the way, people, this is in every listing contract, if someone comes to see it while you've listed it because of your great advertising or whatever, he is entitled to a commission because he brought that person in. Even though, these people may have a new buyer broker and it's 6 months later and he doesn't have the listing anymore, he gets it. That's why they record the names. That's why they want your name. It's not standard, but there's arrogant people who do it. You know what?
When you take out a listing,
care less.
When you take a listing from someone that, they tried out one real estate company and they didn't sell the house, and now they're trying to find a new agent. The new listing agent is already saddled with this whole referral baggage.
If that first set comes back, like 3 months, they were going to buy it, but their mother got sick, and then they came back 3 months later, and now they're buying it, and there's a new listing agent.
That's an interesting scheme. So you get a bunch of listings, do a shitty job, get a whole bunch of people on the list, and then track it like a hawk in case one of them.
Right, because the price is going to go down.
Good job.
Right, the price is going to go down on the second listing because the guy couldn't sell it at a higher price. So somebody comes in, the seller finally realizes he's crazy, and lower the price.
And then the second confusion, feedback. So you know what's wrong with the house. You're not going to dwell on what's wrong with the house, but you ask every client or anybody to show the house, why didn't you like it? I mean, most of the feedback's going to be, I didn't like the bedroom setup. The windows were in the wrong place. It's all feedback that you can't fix. Nobody's going to say, I didn't buy the house because the hose was unfurled in the front yard, which is something you can easily fix.
Exactly. But him and his friends, I'm sure, all give feedback and they all yak about everything. And they commit other fair housing violations. Like I had an agent ask me for names a while ago, and he wanted to know what people do. Oh, where do they work? That's in business. This is a business transaction. Okay.
So
we're not going to make friends. He wants to Google the buyers and see, it's like the seller wanted it, he said. And I'm sure the seller and him, did want that, but commercial transaction, yeah, you can ask anything. But residential 1 to 4 unit, forget it, dude. It's a violation of fair housing. The only thing you can tell somebody is they're qualified. Oh, I had another agent the other day, and this was on a $7 million house up in Stanworth, North Bay. I submitted a contract, and then she says, oh, can you give me a story? My sellers really like stories about people. It's like, no. Have you been trained in fair housing lately? And she's with one of these big, fancy, naughty, nose up in the air agencies. And I've been doing this 50 years kind of person. It's like, yeah. And now you're the ones that were doing this all wrong. They had to make federal laws to fix it. Mm-hmm. And now you're supposed to be trained in this. And you obviously are ignoring the training. It's absolutely disgusting. So on that note, and I'm sorry to break down your idea, but it was good. But I actually want to show everybody something I'm really proud of. I've made Wendy's good list.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah. So Wendy, as we talked about the housing rebels at sellinglater.com, have come up with two great things. Number one, the bad list. She's basically API'd or exported or done something in every state. I think she's up to about 15 of them now. You can go look up an agent and see if they've had any violations in the last year, or anybody reported them for anything. Mm-hmm. So it's very cool. But now she also made the good list. And we're there.
That's great.
Yeah, I don't know how deep you can read it. Finding good people in real estate is harder than it should be. So yeah, tell us about it. We've done years of research, talked to real clients, and watched how agents, lenders, and others actually behave, not just how they market themselves. The good list is who made the cut. No pay to play, no sponsored slots, no algorithms, updated regularly as we keep watching. If you don't see a name you're looking for, it doesn't mean they're not good. It means we haven't met them yet, or they're already on our list to add. So you can search in different areas and states or a name, and you can find it. So we're on there as a good list for flat fees, supports housing robo programs, verified transparent agents. So I've done as much you can to do this, so you can read the rest of the stuff. So really happy about that. And need to buy some SEO to get this out there.
Made the good list.
Made the good list.
That's definitely a blog post for sure. That's worth bragging about.
Yeah.
That is worth the hype, but I'm going to throw one more rapid fire question at you. This is part of it, because what you just said is definitely worth the hype. But what real estate trend is everyone talking about right now that you think is mostly just hype?
Because it's so freaking bizarre and nobody really knows what it is. It's in the emails that I get to real estate professionals. They're trying to teach the analog people about AI in real estate and what they should be doing. That's what they're all talking about. And I met an agent yesterday, and she doesn't use it at all. She's scared. Oh, I don't want to use that, So the AI confusion, because obviously the big companies hire the people and make whatever they can to help the GEO. And so are you really getting the right answers, or are you getting the answers that they want you to have? So the big bucket of AI. And we were just on before this, and for ops person trying to figure things out, it's insanity. It's absolute insanity. And it's not where we want it to be yet.
It's where you think it is, and it's not quite. Like right now, I'm telling all my clients, everybody, you can go onto Claude, you can vibe code something, and then think that the hard work's done. And there's very easy to confuse the speed of like delivery with the ease of execution, because you can get to something that looks like it's right, but you don't know any of the edge cases. And we're wrestling with that right now. We were trying to make an AI agent better, and we were like, well, if people would just leave more information, then Amy, our AI conversation bot, can give more information. So like, think of this as a voicemail. But as soon as we told the AI agent to think of this as a voicemail, suddenly the user on the other line thought it was a voicemail, left their message, and hung up. So there's an edge case that the first part seemed easy, and now we need to deal with how to convey the situation better.
Yeah, I mean, you think it out, but you really don't.
I've got a firsthand thing. I mean, I was at the North County Philanthropy Awards on Friday. I was at a table of all heads of foundations, and the entire discussion was AI and nonprofits, and how it's become mandatory in some of these nonprofits to use it, either use it or get out, because you can't manually do stuff. And a lot of these people, it's not casually just going into Chat GPT. It's setting up a structured system so that the AI works for you. And I think a lot of the real estate industry is very far behind, because the agents take their AI mastery as using it to get a property listing description. And that's as far as it goes. But Arrivva, we've been working with you to like really create some complex systems where now we're testing edge cases in very specific scenarios that actually moves this AI forward, which I think that's being lost in the hype of how easy it is.
Yeah, I know. And in 6 months, everybody will have their shared use of a quantum computer. We'll invent our own person, and you'll be able to do everything in the real estate transaction through this brain, and you'll just need us for, our generic advice. Everything else, programming, setting, showings, the whole 9 yards, be automated. I mean, that's what we want to get to. But these agents don't understand that. It's going to leave them in the dust.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But, there's still analog people who need analog agents because they don't understand what the digital agents are even talking about. So,
but by using all this AI, it gives you more time to talk to the analog people that need a little bit of a human interaction and a human driven transaction.
Exactly. So, it's fun.
Yep.
Okay. Any more of your rapid questions?
What's one prediction you have about housing that most people will disagree with?
Well, it's usually process things that I think certain people disagree with, but sometimes people underestimate the fully underwritten pre-approvals. And, I've never had a situation where somebody who, said, I am not getting fully underwritten. I'm just going to it's going to be good enough. And they've lost deals because of it. And they don't think that it's important because the price is not the only important thing in a contract. Because let me put this one. Don't ever do this. In a multiple bid situation, don't put a ridiculous high price that's going to win you the bid with an appraisal contingency. Why? Because the listing agent's going to know you're playing this game of just trying to get it under contract and get it lower when the appraisal comes in lower. But what sometimes people get surprised at is the appraisal doesn't come in lower. It comes in right at the big number and they're screwed. They're buying it for too much. So you could be screwed either way. So there's one.
That goes into the biggest mistakes that people can make.
Without a doubt. And there's so many real estate agents. When you interview them, you have no idea that they don't know how to properly go in and negotiate. You have no idea. You can't give them a negotiation test. Or you don't. Oh, well, she's nice, or that's my cousin. It's like we're trying to explain to people, this is a business transaction. The last thing you want to do is get involved with family. I got a guy now he's going to buy a property through me, but he's trying to sell one. It fell apart, but it came back together. It's like, I got to use this woman. It's my girlfriend's best friend. So, it's unfortunate, and he hates her. He absolutely hates her, but he's got kind of screwed by that. But people, you got to put your foot down. You got to say like, hey, I want you to keep your friendship with Susie. If anything goes wrong, I'm going to get, we're going to have a problem, and then that's going to be worse, for your relationship. It's better but that's the whole basis of Sotheby's and Compass and Century 21 agents is go out and Keller Williams, especially, call everybody you've known since fourth grade and ask them if they want to buy a house. It's all relationship based.
I was just thinking, it reminds me of relationship selling books that I've had to read for years.
And we're kind of the opposite of that. We're letting you come to us because you want to use us. And that's why we're spending all this money on Drew and Google ads so that you find us. We put good information out because it's a business transaction. It's not a friend thing. It's not a relative thing. And that's one of the biggest things I feel bad for buyers and sellers, that they don't know or they don't think about the ramifications. So there's the bad thing.
Very interesting thought.
So before we go, I got one other screen to show you.
Yeah, Dan.
This is a pretty cool place. Here's the house, 3016 Jackson Street in San Francisco. It's got 15 bedrooms, 12 baths.
Holy moly.
For $6.5 million. But what it was a giant dormitory that was owned by the ballet, San Francisco Ballet.
Oh, wow.
So they must, so it's pretty cool. So I guess they're not bringing people over and putting them in the house anymore. And the house is expensive to take care of and all that. So they're selling it. So here's the idea. It's funny. I have clients who I met through these people who've now bought a couple houses from me, but they're all into this idea of having a community where you have a single or one or two kitchens, bunch of different families. Let's go back to Hillary Clinton. It takes a village concept and live like that, as opposed to everybody segmented in a single family dwelling. So you may have your own bedroom, bathroom, 1, 2, 3 bedrooms and baths for you and your kids and family or whoever you are. And then you have, the big giant rooms for eating and cooking and, somebody like, puts on a schedule of who's going to cook that week and who's going to shop. It doesn't have to be this big, but that's kind of gave me the idea and touring it out. And, let's build new construction houses where instead of facing streets, have them face green spaces. And so they face each other and the kids can play and dogs can run around and you can sit and talk and you can barbecue, so getting more people involved in your life is going to make your life easier is kind of what they're getting at. And it's just more creative and kids get to interact with more kids on a day-to-day basis and they become more able to, be in society. Or if you want to be in the basement and code, maybe there's somebody who can code better than you can. And it's just the whole concept.
That's a great idea. I mean, especially in a day when we're going more and more down this digital silo.
Yeah.
Interactions becoming a valued commodity.
There you go. Yeah. And it kind of is like a TIC, tenants in common building. They're easy to do in California. Boom, you're a TIC. You can have 5 single families and they all become a TIC and everybody kind of invests in every one of them in the common areas as opposed to forming condos or PUDs. So that's another thing, but that's pretty cool.
I like that idea. Almost like a commune, but not with any of the, communes all come with their own connotation.
Commune, yeah, it's short for communist.
Well, if you got 20 people living in one building with a commune.
Yeah, and hippies smoking dope, So San Francisco hippies smoking dope. So there you go. You could have, everybody wants to smoke weed and you all live in one big house.
More of the denotation of a commune than the connotation of it.
Exactly.
I like it.
It's a good clarification.
This has been another episode of We Fixed Real Estate.